Hello, this is Deacon John Evanoff coming to you from Epiphany of the Lord Catholic Church with another weekly reflection in our series. This time not about the resurrection, even though we're still in the season of Easter. And also this time I'm more horizontal than vertical on your screen, hopefully. You fed back and I'm responding to that. Today's topic will be the Christian response to plagues. How are we doing? You know, this past October, early October, I had the opportunity to take a pilgrimage to Europe with my wife and about 50 other parishioners. And I wanted to share one of the takeaways from that pilgrimage with you today that I think has some relevance to today's coronavirus issues. You know, one of the things I noticed as we traveled through Bavaria, Switzerland, Germany, Czech Republic, was the presence everywhere of reminders of mortality. What I mean by that is that the Christians that lived in the past centuries and left us these devotional artworks, whether they were statues, architecture, monuments in the town squares, etc., a lot of them had to do with the brevity of their lives. Those Christians knew life was short. It became clear to me on that pilgrimage that life in earlier centuries must have been very much more difficult in general, and death touched more people earlier in their lives than perhaps it does today. And the general sense of that is actually reflected in the artwork that we were looking at and what they left behind for us. And it's also clear from what I observed that the Christians in the past centuries truly did rely more on prayer and on divine providence than they did on medicine and monarchs to save them from plague and famine and other evils. In fact, many of the shrines that we visited were actually tributes to the effectiveness of prayer and divine intercession. A couple come to mind are Oberammergau, where the entire village was spared because of the people's prayer against the plague. But there were other shrines, Mariazell, Altötting, a number of them were actually there because God had intervened in some way in response to the people's prayers. And so that causes me to ask today, what will be the modern day Christians' tributes that we leave behind? What will be our tributes to God's victory over this pandemic? What legacy will we leave behind for future generations to show where we put our faith? Will our monuments be only secular monuments to the healthcare workers that sacrificed so nobly on behalf of others? We've already seen some of that going on with flyovers and many thanks to people who truly deserve our thanks. Maybe our tribute will be the final elevation of science to the status of a God or a religion that so many of science's disciples now already worship. I hope not. Christians of the past, flocked to churches in times of crisis. We, on the other hand, tended to obey government guidelines and closed our churches and quit coming to Mass. Those Christians historically prayed to God for an end to the plague. We, on the other hand, gave up our livelihoods and our holy sacraments. Those Christians buried their dead as a corporal work of mercy, and we were prevented from having funerals. So, what tributes to our faith are we building today? What will people in future centuries see in us and our response to the pandemic? Well, I think there are some positive things. Maybe we can show future generations of Christians that we actually grew stronger in faith when we were prevented from worshiping God at all. Maybe we can each come to believe more fervently in the real presence of Christ in the Eucharist, since we have been denied access to him for all these months. Maybe we will have a greater desire to come to Holy Mass each Sunday, and maybe even daily, because we realize what we've lost during these past months. Maybe our tribute will actually be the future generations of faithful Christian children and grandchildren that we raise, because they observed how we reacted to all of this. And what will they see? That's the question. Will they see cowardly Christians or fervent, devout Christians? And that might be our best tribute to the future. God bless you all. Thank you for watching, and we'll see you next time. And let me know how the horizontal format works as opposed to the vertical. Thanks. Bye.